Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Jay. Welcome back. Well, he's back. CM Punk has returned to the WWE after bleh, 9 long years of being gone. He's come back. The impossible happened at Survivor Series 2023. We heard that music again. The music of In Living Colors, Cult of Personality. Something that we thought we would never hear in the world of WWE anymore. What a journey it's been for Mr. Phil Brooks from leaving the WWE abruptly in 2014 to going to the UFC, losing twice in the UFC, both in 2016 and 2017, respectively, then coming to AEW. Who can forget his return after 7 years, being gone from wrestling for 7 years, and then coming to AEW, then having his problems in AEW, both with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and then with Tony Khan this past uh, this past summer, and then he's back. Man, what a journey, man! And in his hometown of Chicago, Illinois, he's Chicago's favorite son. People say that Chicago's favorite son is Al Capone or Barack Obama or somebody like that, or Michael Jordan, even though Michael's not a native of Chicago, but still, Chicago's favorite son, Kanye West. But Chicago's favorite son, in my opinion, is CM Punk. And congratulations to Punk for returning. Now, where does this put us at in terms of WrestleMania? Mm, does he take Cody Rhodes' spot? Is his return bigger than Cody Rhodes' return last year at WrestleMania? You know what I mean? Where does does CM Punk challenge for Roman Reigns' title? Does he go directly for Roman Reigns? It looked to me like he was gonna go for Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins was the one yelling and screaming and having Michael Cole and Corey Graves hold him back. So it looks to me like it's going to be CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for WrestleMania 40 in Philly. I don't know, man. But as soon as it happened that night at Survivor Series, I'm like, maybe they'll put him in there with Roman Reigns. Remember, it makes perfect sense, in my opinion, because or here's what you do: you do you do a repeat of WrestleMania 10, and you have Roman Reigns defending against Cody Rhodes one night, and him defending against CM Punk the next night, or you have Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk, which will give Tony Khan a heart attack because here's one guy who left him, and then he figured he had a one-upsmanship on Vince when he brought in CM Punk, and now Vince has got Vince well, not Vince really, WWE, TKO, Ari Emanuel, Triple H, whomever. The WWE, they've got CM Punk back. They've got Punk back. You know what I mean? So now you could feature CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, and we're like, okay, now we got both your guys. Plus, we got Jade Cargill. You know what I'm saying? What are you gonna do now? Who do you got? Edge? Who do you got? Andrade? Who do you got? Miro? People that WWE doesn't even care about anymore. Like WWE comes with Jade Cargill, they come with Edge. WWE comes with Cody Rhodes, they come with Christian. you know, you know what I'm saying? People that don't even matter to the audience anymore. But welcome back to CM Punk, man. Amazing, amazing, amazing. He sits on the ramp, Indian sitting just like he did when he did the pipe bomb. I will never forget 2011 when I was watching Raw that night and he did that pipe bomb. I, that was the greatest moment in the modern era of wrestling, post the Attitude Era. That was tremendous. And he dissed The Rock and John Cena. Yeah. And the crazy thing about it, I was thinking about the significance of it. Him returning at Survivor Series. I wasn't there, as this is speaking about 2011. I wasn't there uh, when they had the Madison Square Garden show where he beat Del Rio, where his 400 and something day run began, right? But I was watching it on pay per view streaming it at that time, and that was when The Rock came back, and The Rock was another one who we thought was never going to come back, and he came back. So, like it just goes to show you, man. Never say never in the world of professional wrestling, especially when you're dealing with somebody like Triple H, that is very diplomatic. And you think about it too, because Triple H was the main target of CM Punk's vitriol when he left the WWE in 2014. Triple H was the guy that he mainly went after on Colt Cabana's podcast back then. You know what I mean? So I guess all is forgiven now, especially since Paul Levesque or Triple H is the head writer of WWE now. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm not a wrestler anymore, so I really don't care. But man, when he came out, that reaction, I mean, he blew the roof off the place because, like I said before, when he went to AEW 2 years ago, for 7 whole years while he was gone, uh, people chanted CM Punk, CM Punk, even even in the matches that he wasn't even in. It got so bad that his wife, AJ Lee, had to quit the WWE. One of the main reasons why she quit was because every time she got into the ring, people chanted CM Punk, CM Punk. So, you know, she was just like, okay, I'm gone. And then, like, man, it was magic. It was a magical moment. You know what I mean? We waited and we waited and we thought it would never happen. Just like when Sting showed up in 2014 at Survivor Series. We thought Sting would never ever show up in WWE. Just like when Bret Hart came back in 2010, we thought that would never happen. Or Hulk Hogan when he came back in 2002, thought that would never happen. Never say Vince McMahon used to have a saying, and this is true. Never say never in the world of professional wrestling in the WWF because anything can happen. And people always come back unless your name is Macho Man or China. Rest in peace to them. But uh you know, yeah, we'll see what's Punk gonna do. And I'll admit I was wrong. I thought Nick Khan and Vince McMahon and all the and Mark Shapiro and the board of directors in WWE was they were not going to consider Phil Brooks, CM Punk, because of the past. Not only the past that he had with WWE, walking out the way he did, taking his ball and going home, but also uh, the uneventful time he had with the UFC when he got destroyed. You know what I mean? But obviously, he's still a marquee name. He's still somebody that fans care about. He's still somebody that fans love, fans adore. He inspired a whole generation of fans, especially, like I said, with his pipe bomb in 2011, which was a breath of fresh air after one of the worst years that the WWE ever had in 2010. I saw him perform. I saw him perform live WrestleMania 29 in 2013. The match with the Undertaker, which I consider that the match of the night. They surpassed Cena and The Rock that night because I thought Cena and The Rock's match was kind of boring. You know what I mean? But yeah, and I haven't seen any kind of reaction like that to a return since, honestly, since 2012, since Brock Lesnar came back. you know, so this to me, this changes the chessboard when it comes to WrestleMania and what they're gonna do at WrestleMania. Maybe Seth Rollins and CM Punk, maybe Roman Reigns and CM Punk, maybe Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Cody Rhodes in a triple threat match. Maybe Cody Rhodes and Roman night one, and Cody Rhodes and Punk. I mean Roman and Punk night two. It puts it in a all different perspective. But what else did I think about the Survivor Series as a whole in general, besides CM Punk's return? I kind of liked it, man. You know what I mean? War games, it still wasn't up to par with war games. Like I like war games, like the war games to me, the old WCW ones with the roof on top. But they're getting there. They're doing an homage to it. Usos, Jay Uso is pretty good. The Yeet. I'm getting a little bit tired of that Yeet stuff, honestly. But it is what it is. Randy Orton's return, man, that's crazy because now that we think about it, man, Randy Orton has been with the company for so long that Randy Orton, the Legend Killer, is now a legend. You know what I'm saying? That's how long he's been with the promotion since 2002, and I don't see him going anywhere. I mean, there I saw him in this interview, this table for three with Bruno Sammartino when Bruno Sammartino was still alive, right? Of course, pre 2018 when Bruno passed away. Um, where he was like, kids come up to him that are fully grown and they said that they've grown up with him, and that's true because like uh, you know the RKO is one of the most legendary maneuvers of all time. People do RKOs on their brothers or sisters, all that shit. You know what I mean? Like they grew up with Randy, so Randy is a true legend, man. You know what I mean? It was cool to see him come back, and it was cool to see uh, them connecting the dots to the past, not just completely not acknowledging that Cody Rhodes was in WWE before and he was part of Legacy uh, with Randy in 2009. So that generation that they watched professional wrestling from like 2008, 9, 10, 11. It was kind of their their Survivor Series, their event, their chance to celebrate the heroes that they've grown up with, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton and CM Punk. I feel, and the Usos. You know what I mean? Especially Jay Uso. You know what I'm saying? Because each generation, that's why wrestling is such a magical thing to me. It's kind of like Star Wars is, because it's generational. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their favorites. Everybody has their period that they've grown up with that is special and unique to them. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was both the late 80s and early 90s and the late 90s and early 2000s, the Attitude Era and the Golden Era and the New Generation Era, basically from the 80s throughout the 90s. That's that magical place. You know what I mean? Those are the stars that I really love. I watched, after it, but it doesn't hold a place in my heart the way that era does. The era that we review on this channel, basically. But for some other kids, like Vicky, for example, right? You know what I mean? That they grew up in that other era with the Cody Rhodeses and the Romans. Reigns came back in. which is like WrestleMania 24. When I started watching again after I was off WrestleMania for like wrestling period for like 2 years. I wasn't watching in 2006 or seven. I didn't see even with the Trump thing, Battle of the Billionaires. I didn't see Battle of the Billionaires till or know that Battle of the Billionaires even happened until after I saw it on Regis and Kathy Lee the next morning after WrestleMania 23. So I'd been off from wrestling, and I heard on the news that in 2008 CM Punk was gonna, excuse me, not CM Punk. He won the Money in the Bank that year, but that 50 Cent was gonna be accompanying Floyd Mayweather to the ring for the match with Big Show, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to watch it, right? He didn't end up doing that, but just watching it and just seeing how great the performances were, like when Edge and Undertaker fought each other, or Ric Flair's retirement, just seeing how great those performances were drew me back in, and I've been watching now ever since to '08, right? But at that WrestleMania, CM Punk won the Money in the Bank, his first Money in the Bank, and later on in that year, he won his first World Heavyweight Championship from Edge. You know what I mean? So I discovered CM Punk, and then the Benoit tragedy, which was the first thing that drew me back in before the CM Punk thing, was the Benoit tragedy, because Benoit's tragedy was all over the news, and CM Punk was involved, was really involved with that too, not involved with the tragedy, but his name was mentioned on TV because of that. You know what I'm saying? Because he was supposed to, I think he was supposed to wrestle Benoit or drop his two MMA matches uh, to Mike Jackson and Mickey Gall, respectively. Joe Rogan talked a lot of shit, but see, when it comes to Joe Rogan and professional wrestling, I feel like Joe Rogan could be kind of pussy. You know what I'm saying? Because he in the beginning, Rogan used to talk a lot of shit when it came to professional wrestlers. But if he has Jake Roberts on there, or he has Hulk Hogan on there, or he has Ric Flair on there, or he has Undertaker or The Rock, recently he's had on there, he doesn't say anything about professional wrestling. He doesn't call it fake. He doesn't call it gay. He wouldn't dare. You know what I'm saying? Especially now that Vince McMahon is basically still on the board of directors at TKO and is basically his boss. So he's not going to talk. I would love to see him talk shit to Punk's face. You know what I'm saying? Punk just put him in a Muay Thai clinch and just beat his ass. But anyway, um, I like Joe Rogan. He's all right. He said some racist shit before, some really cringe racist stuff before that India Ari called him out on. But anyway, uh, that's all I got to say about that, man. Congratulations to CM Punk, and I look forward to. That was making WrestleMania really interesting to see what they're going to do. You know, you know what I'm saying? See what direction they're going to take this in, because somebody's coming for Roman Reigns' belt. You know what I'm saying? Or Seth Rollins' belt. If they do Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, I'll be disappointed, because even though it'll be a good match because Seth Rollins is a good worker and so is Punk. You know what I mean? Even though I'm sure Punk has some ring rust. Um, you know, I still would love to see him versus Roman Reigns just because of the Paul Heyman dynamic. And I think Paul Heyman's going into the Hall of Fame this year because it's Philly and that's basically Paul Heyman's town. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to see my next videos coming out. Oh, and I want to do of course I'm going to do 1998 year in review video. But I'm looking over these old year reviews, and I just missed so much when it came to 1994 and 5 and 6 and 7. There's a lot. I'm gonna do like a bonus episode of like uh, backtracking some of the stuff I miss, and plus I'm going to give an opinion on the cancel culture environment of this whole Israel and Hamas thing, and why I feel like uh, people that speak out against people that speak out against Israel are being unfairly maligned, and not speaking out against Israel, wanting them to be abolished or wanting to get rid of the state of Israel or anything like that, but just people that are giving historical analysis, historical, their historical analysis, there's historical opinions on Israel and Hamas, and if it's not favorable to the narrative that they want you to go with, the narrative that they believe that you should go with, then you're blacklisted. You're called anti-Semitic. You're castigated as being anti-Semitic, and it's just like it's unfair because all a lot of people are simply saying, all people are simply stating, is that Palestinians used to live in that area before, in the Levant, in the Eastern Mediterranean, in the area called Palestine, and then they're coming out. Oh well, you support Hamas. How do you jump to that conclusion that I support Hamas simply because I'm telling you that the Israelis are committing genocide in Gaza? You know what I'm saying? Automatically, I support Hamas just because of that. Yes, October 7th was a tragic incident. It was tremendously tragic, but it didn't come out of a vacuum. It didn't happen for no reason whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? There was events preceding it, 75 years worth of events preceding it. I don't care about your justification for it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It happened for a specific reason. You know, you know what I'm saying? They didn't just the leaders of Hamas. They didn't just wake up one day and be like, "Okay, we're going to attack the Israeli Music Peace Festival for no reason." You know what I'm saying? It was decades upon decades, and especially years upon years. Let's just say since the Israelis left in 2006, of isolation of Gaza, cutting off their water supply, cutting off their um, their clean air supply, and it's a desert region, so cutting off their water supply is detrimental to uh, the Gazans. You know what I'm saying? So when people are simply pointing that out, you know what I'm saying? You want to jump to the conclusion that they're automatically supporting terrorism. It's just like in 2020. You know what I'm saying? When people were sitting there saying that I support Black Lives Matter and I sympathize with the death of George Floyd, or I sympathize with the targeting of black men specifically by police, people said, "Oh, you're supporting riots in Minnesota, or you're supporting riots in Atlanta, or you're supporting riots across the country, or supporting this kind of what they perceive as anti-white violence." No, it's a false equivalency. Just because we're not a false equivalency. It's yeah, basically it's a false equivalency. Just because I support um, freedom for all people and the rights of the Palestinians, I automatically support terrorism. So you're basically saying that all Palestinians are terrorists, that every single Palestinian in Gaza or in the West Bank, even, right? Some place where Hamas is not even in power in the government. It's Fatah, we know that, right? There are different factions in the Palestinian government, right? you're automatically saying that just because I speak out against that, I support uh, terrorism, right? But you don't want people to say, and I'm completely off topic, but because I know it's a CM Punk video, right? But I can't help but get this out. You don't want people to say that just because just because they support Ukraine, they support Nazism, right? But there's Nazis in the Ukraine, right? There are elements of the Ukrainian nationalist movement um, that are anti-Nazi, and there are elements of the Ukrainian nationalist movement that are pro-Nazi, especially in the Azov region. So, but by your logic, just because one person supports Ukraine, they automatically support Nazism. Or if they say they're against the Nazism in Ukraine and the Nazism that's embedded in a lot of the Ukrainian nationalist rhetoric, they're automatically pro-Putin, right? You're caught up in, and I'm tying it back to CM Punk. You're caught up in the cult of personalities, right? Of Hamas or Netanyahu or Putin or Vladimir Zelensky, without really considering that it has nuance to it. But you don't want to hear about nuance. You don't want to hear about um, distinctions. You know what I mean? You automatically want to draw conclusions. Oh, you support Palestine or you're pro-Palestinian, you must be pro-Hamas. Even though not every Palestinian is pro-Hamas. Not every Palestinian is anti-Semitic. A lot of Palestinians are anti-Zionist, but why wouldn't they be? The whole Zionist structure, the whole point of Zionism was to force them out. And the cancellation of certain celebrities by the right wing just because they 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 say something that not even necessarily that they support Palestine or they support the Palestinian liberation movement, right? But just if they say, okay, it's wrong what the Israelis are doing, you want to cancel them automatically, like Candace Owens. Candace Owens, here's a person who everything that she says is pro white right wing, pro white, if you will. You know what I mean? Like she's was the red pill black girl. She came out in support of the protesters of the Unite the Right rally in 2016 about the statues. She came out against George Floyd. Everything that she says is anti her own ethnicity, anti her own self interest as a black woman, and yet she got canceled by the right wing. You know what I'm saying? Because they said that she was anti-Semitic. Her anti-Semitic, she started out in PragerU, and she now works for Ben Shapiro. But her own boss, Ben Shapiro, uh, says that she should just quit because uh, the Daily Wire is purely pro-Zionist. So, in other words, freedom of speech is good for those on the right because that was what they championed in 2016. That's all I heard. Oh, people in college campuses, people should have the right. College students should have the right to express themselves. Their pro-American views, or their pro-right wing views, or their Blue Lives Matter views, or whatever. Right? They were pro champions of, but you can't just be pro champions of free speech when it benefits you. You have to be pro champions of free speech even when it doesn't benefit you. You know what I'm saying? Now they're against kids in college campuses speaking up because the views of the kids in college campuses don't reflect the views that they wish that they would propagate. Because kids from college campuses, the young kids these days, are not so indoctrinated with the propaganda of Zionism. You know what I'm saying? They're not so indoctrinated to think that automatically being anti-Zionist makes one anti-Semitic, because that's not necessarily true. There's really very little correlation between them. Because if you're going to say that, well, what about the Satmar movement? Well, I live in Williamsburg here. This particular Jewish community is the Satmar community, and this Satmar community of Hasidic Jews, right? They're not they're not pro-Zionist. They're anti-Zionist. They're led by well, they're not led by him, but they were inspired by the late Rabbi Yoel Tenenbaum, who believed that Zionism was an affront to the Jewish faith and the Jewish religion. Right. So does that make Yoel Tenenbaum or the Satmar community, Jewish community, anti-Semitic or anti their own people? No, of course it doesn't. Some people believe that Zionism is wrong. You know what I'm saying? This is Jewish people and Gentile people. You know, and just simply saying that, you know what, the vast majority of of Israelis are secular people, right? And if they don't believe in a religion, then how can they then? And they don't believe in a God. They don't believe in a higher power. They don't believe in the revelatory nature of the Torah. And how can they, including Theodor Herzl, the founder of Zionism, if they don't believe in that, how can they then get on their soapbox and say that the land belongs to them? They claim that the Bible, the Old Testament of the Bible, is their deed, their title to the land, right? But they don't believe in it. They don't believe in the validity of it. You know what I mean? So if you don't believe in the validity of it, then you don't believe in it. So you just want a nationalist movement. You just want a colonialist movement. The vast majority of them are irreligious. The vast majority, some of them, Zionists, especially the early Zionists in the early days of Zionism, the late 1800s, they were anti-religion. They were antithetical to religion. When the Yemeni Jews, we talked about in the vaccine video, when the Yemeni Jews came into Israel in the 1960s and 70s, they cut off their sidelocks, they cut off their peyot, and they made them stop observing Shabbat, which is the traditional Jewish Sabbath, right? And they discriminate against them. Nowadays, in the Israeli army, the secular Israeli army, the IDF, they discriminate against ultra Orthodox Jews, many of whom are anti-Zionist. You know what I mean? So, uh, anti-Zionism does not equate to anti-Semitism. Okay, anti-Semitism is hating a particular group of people, the Jewish people, because they are Jewish. Anti-Zionism is in opposition to a colonialist mindset, a nationalist mindset. I could be anti-Italian nationalism. Does that mean I'm an anti-Italian? No. I could believe that some of the regions in Italy deserve greater autonomy. That, you know, that Naples and Sicily have their own unique culture and they deserve political autonomy. Or a better example of that could be, I believe in that in regards to Spain, right? I believe the Catalan region deserves its own autonomy and maybe even its own independence. Does that make me anti-Spanish? No, of course it doesn't. You know what I mean? Nobody would suggest that it does. Nobody would believe that it does. That's ridiculous. So likewise, being anti-Zionist does not make one necessarily anti-Semitic. Now, can there be certain people that are anti-Zionist that are anti-Semitic for whatever reason? Yes. I mean, nobody's saying that that's not true. Of course. I mean, of course. You know, you know what I'm saying? Particularly on the American right wing, the ones that they claim to be their closest allies, these are the ones that are really anti-Semitic. These are the ones who did the Tree of Life shooting in 2018. These are the ones who did the other Poway shooting in the Chabad house in 2019. You know, these are the ones in Charlottesville that were with the tiki torches chanting for blood and soil, and Jews will not replace us. And, during that rally, the one that Candace Owens supported. But somehow, when Candace Owens supported this rally in Charlottesville, that was both anti-Semitic, really anti-Semitic, actually anti-Semitic, and anti-Black, so nobody had a problem with her being pro the Charlottesville marchers. But now she's not even supporting uh she's not even supporting necessarily the Palestinian liberation movement. She's just simply saying, let's look at it objectively and let's not castigate or let's not paint these uh, these college students with a broad brush because college is supposed to be a place, and this is what I thought the right wing stood for, especially with their BS in 2016 when they were talking about free speech on college campuses, right? I thought they stood for freedom of speech. I thought they stood for freedom of expression. I thought they stood for independent inquiries. But apparently they don't. Apparently they only stand for independent inquiries and asking questions and questioning the status quo and questioning the narrative when it suits them. You know, only when you have to question the narrative of transgenderism or feminism or LGBT rights or BLM, right? But they don't question their own secret cow, their own their own tool of mass cancellation, which is the whole concept of Zionism in the state of Israel. You know what I mean? And should we send billions of dollars to Israel? I mean, Candace Owens, specifically her, she's been pretty consistent when it comes to uh, her support of ending financial aid to all countries, including Israel, including the Ukraine. She's an America firster. She believes in America first. Whatever. Same thing. Okay, let's move to another person. Uh, Minister Farrakhan, Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's currently has a suit with the ADL, of course, for years and years of people targeting him and uh, targeting his organization for years and years because they claim that he's falsely anti-Semitic. But he's been consistent. Also, he's not come out against Jewish people for being Jewish. No, see that's the difference. It's not an irrational prejudice. It's not he's not targeting them because they happen to be Jewish or because they have a different religion. Candace isn't either. Alicia Keys isn't either. You know what I'm saying? They are questioning Israel's practices. You mean to tell me that Israel, because of historical injustices that Jewish people have faced, pogroms and things we've talked about, the Kishinev program, for example, or the Holocaust, for another example, or the Spanish Inquisition. You mean to tell me because of that, our government is beyond reproach? You can't question the actions of a government? No, you can question the actions of a government. Now, some people are automatically jumping to, oh, well, they say that Israel shouldn't have the right to exist. No, they don't say. Some of them say that. Okay, Hamas says that, but the vast majority of people are actually saying, no, let's question the narrative. Let's question the intentions of the Zionists. You have Israeli historians doing that. Ilan Pappé and Benny Morris, for example, like I pointed out. But as soon as like Alicia Keys says something, or Candace Owens is saying something, or Farrakhan is saying something, automatically they're anti-Semitic. And I'm sick of this kind of shit because, in all honesty, guys, what it does is it stifles debate and it stifles independent inquiries, and that's what I thought the right wing didn't want. You know what I'm saying? I thought the right wing was open. You know, we were open to having all kinds of taboo discussions. They want to sit there and they talk about the bell. They want to talk about the bell curve. They want to talk about quote unquote absentee black fathers. They want to talk about transgenderism, LGBT, pushing LGBT culture and transgenderism down people's throat, pushing sexism down people's throat. But when it comes to this one sacred cow, this one thing that we cannot talk about, because if we do, we're automatically a goose stepping along with Adolf Hitler. Well, come on, come on. I mean, you guys really believe? Okay, I'm going to delete this video because This is totally not CM Punk. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to see when the next video is coming out. Peace.